Hi, Niklas. Thanks for sending in your new set of essays. Sorry for the delay. I was on vacation and Ben had an emergency, so he was unable to get these to you, but I'm back, so let's do that straight away. Traditional foods, fast food. Let's see. Nowadays, it can be observed that fast food displaces the traditional cuisine all over the world. As a result, there could be negative consequences for society and for each individual. This essay will discuss both sides of the influence and support arguments with examples from recent studies. Okay. Um, where's your position? Look at the topic. It says, to what extent do you agree or disagree? You wrote here there could be negative consequences, but you don't tell us that this is part of your position. So it feels like just a general statement that you're making, not necessarily linked to anything that shows how you feel about this. Does that make sense? So I really want your position to be clearer and just signposted a little more obviously. Especially here when you say this essay will discuss both sides. So why you're discussing both sides, it's just very unclear. When it asks you to what extent do you agree or disagree, you need to tell us your position, all right? And then if you feel that there are benefits and disadvantages to both, I mean, if you feel that they both exist, then you need to point that out in your introduction, okay? But if you feel 100% in favor of one thing, then there's no reason for you to discuss both sides. Let's keep going. There is ample evidence that fast food is having an increasingly negative impact in today's society. On today's society. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, the traditional relationship to food. People tend to grab a burger on the way instead of cooking a meal at home, which would, excuse me, take even longer. Secondly, meals together with the whole, you need a W here, family get lost, as we know this from previous generation. Grammar is a problem here. Secondly, meals together with the whole family are lost when compared to the previous generation. The result is mindless eating of too many calories, which leads to obesity both for children and adults. Many studies have shown that people in several Asian regions with a consistently traditional cuisine live with a V much longer and with fewer diseases than people in the Western world who eat junk food, okay, or fast food. All right, so you can see I had to do a lot of correcting of your grammar. There were errors throughout. Let's see. And you're talking about the negative influence on society. Let's see, what else? There's a little bit here about family as well. All right, let's keep going. However, other people could argue that the development away from the traditional food corresponds much more to our modern life. This is largely because what they see a great chance for more gender neutrality. In the traditional family, the housewife is mostly responsible for the cuisine, standing for hours and hours in the kitchen while the production and ordering of fast food are gender neutral. For example, there is no clear preference for more or fewer female male cooks or waiters in a fast food restaurant or delivery staff. Get rid of there. Therefore, the impact of traditional cuisine by fast food could what? No, not the impact. Therefore, the replacement of traditional cuisine by fast food could probably be seen as a positive development in someone's apostrophe S perspective, no S. Okay, this is a really interesting point of view. I thought that was so interesting that you said this. It's the first time somebody has kind of looked at this from a sort of feminist perspective. So that was an interesting way to read this. Again, maybe you could have talked about the individual, how this affects the individual. Even just use the word a couple of times. It felt like it could be about society, maybe about the individual. I'll give it to you. I think you're fine. So, from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that the impact on each individual and the society due to the increasing displacement of the traditional cuisine by fast food is negative. Therefore, I totally agree. All right, see, this makes no sense now. It is predicted that this development will increase so that fast food will displace traditional food further. Period. You don't need and further. It's redundant. All right, now this confused me because you said you were going to discuss both sides. I never knew what your perspective was. We already talked about that. It doesn't make sense that you want to talk about both sides. And especially because you say you totally agree that it's negative. So it feels like it's not a cohesive essay. Does that make sense? They've asked you a question. To what extent do you agree? At the end, you told us you totally agree that it's bad. And yet here you had this paragraph against it, and then here you had a paragraph for it. So the reader is left thinking, all right, what is going on? There are ways to fix this that really make sense. Let me show you. The first thing, because I actually really enjoyed this paragraph. I thought it was very thoughtful. Okay. So here's what I would do. Here I would say, while certain segments of the population benefit, on the whole, I believe the trend towards fast food is negative. And then that makes sense because you're showing us to what extent. You're saying, yes, there's a part of the population that, benefits from this, but if you look at it in like kind of like the grand picture, it's a bad thing. So if you had done that, that would have been good. So you would just put that sentence in here. Then I would put this paragraph first. I would take this paragraph second. Okay. And then this is not true. So from the argument and examples given, I firmly believe that the impact on each individual and society. No, that's actually not what you said here. So you either need to get rid of this paragraph completely and replace it with something else, or you need to change this too. So from the arguments and examples given, I believe that despite the benefits to gender equality, on the whole, the displacement of traditional cuisine is negative, period. Okay? And then et cetera, et cetera. That's how I would do this. All right? I hope that makes sense. I really want you to adopt some of these suggestions today. I think they're really important to your essay writing. Let's take a look at your task one. All right, so when you do these task ones, please copy and paste the chart into your answer so that I can refer to it in the correction, okay? All right, the chart shows how two types of shoes, brown and black leather, were sold in different countries. I don't really like that. It doesn't show how they were sold. That's like what way. Like they were sold online, they were sold in the store, they were sold in a farmer's market, whatever. That's not appropriate. So the chart shows how, no, the chart shows the sales of two types of shoes, brown and black leathers, in different countries. That's it. Okay. It can be seen, careful, that there were very different preferences and sales figures for brown and black leather shoes in the shown countries. The most black leather shoes were sold in Hungary with 140,000, followed by Italy and Belgium. Okay. France sold the smallest amount of black leathers with 30,000, while the other 5 countries. This is great. I love this. New paragraph here. Don't put it in the same paragraph. Okay. Poland shows a preference for brown leather shoes with 1,300 before Germany and Hungary with this. Sales of brown leather shoes in Belgium represent the smallest number with 8,000. The other countries sold between 75. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Then let me tell you what needs to be done here. Overall, this doesn't make sense. Overall, the preference, along with the sales for brown and black leather shoes in the 9 countries, 9 European, what? Overall, the preference, no. Overall, the sales of brown and black leather shoes in the 9 European countries was very different, with Belgium and particularly showing the greatest difference between the 2 colors. Okay. So I really liked this. I thought you did exactly what I would have done myself, except I would have split these paragraphs right here. Let me tell you where the problem is. Your problem is with the grammar here. All right, it has problems. And here, the grammar has problems. And then let me tell you another problem you've got. You have 9 European countries, correct? I don't know the names of all of them. And I need to, because those are your categories. And so I need to know the names of those categories. You mentioned maybe like 5 or 6 countries. You certainly didn't mention all of them. If you did, I take it back. Let's count. Let's see how many you mentioned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think Ireland was in there, and I think Holland was in there as well, if I remember correctly. So you didn't mention all of them, and that's going to cost you. Let me tell you a couple of really easy fixes for this. In your introduction, when you say in different countries in Europe, put the names of the countries in parentheses after this. All right, so open parenthesis, name the 9 countries, close the parenthesis, finish your sentence, and then you don't have the problem of not including all of your categories. This is the easiest way to do it. Okay. I know examiners who, if you don't name all 9 countries, will give you a 4 for task achievement because they don't have all the information. They don't have the categories, and that's considered key information. So it's really important, and I want you to get into this habit. Okay. All right, so that's it for this set. Don't forget to include the image in your answer and just work on those things that we talked about. Okay, keep at it and good luck.